What's up, people? Sorry about that. I don't have streaming software, and I set it up to have stream software. So the way it goes, I guess. Anywho, let me just check to make sure some of those other people aren't flip-flopping over. Yeah, okay. I'm going to exit out of that one. Thank you. All right, so welcome to the fireside chat. You can't really tell, but there's a fire going on right back there. There it is. There it goes. Look at that bad boy. Anywho, so I guess I'm kind of here to answer. Hello, everyone. Here to answer whatever questions you have, and I'll kind of go over some of the basic concepts that you need to know, and what I will ask you a question about, what I won't ask you a question about. Is the fireplace real? No, Mustafa, it's not real. It's electric. So anyway, yeah. So you can type a chat or a question in. Otherwise, I'll kind of just talk about the basic rundown. But I kind of need you to drive it a little bit so that I can answer what needs to be answered. But I guess I'll just start with this. So I just finished the test today, or writing the exam. It's like 40 points total. There's 4 sections. So you can go over the cause of the, yeah, I can definitely do that. So there's 4 sections. The first section is about causes of the rebellion, and that's like the big standard. So it goes through things like starting with the French and Indian War. That's like the first big event. And then what happens because of the French and Indian War. So things like the Proclamation of 1763 as a result of Pontiac's rebellion is going to be an important thing to understand. The fact that Britain has a lot of debt as a result of the French and Indian War, and that's going to lead to taxation and higher taxes. And then eventually that's going to lead to more and more rebellion. Perfect. Sorry, I got to read the comments as they come in. So then we move into more of like the specific taxes and what was happening. So what Articles of Confederation and the Constitution. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. So the rebellion starts with pretty much the first big thing that happens after the Proclamation of 1763 is the Stamp Act. So 1765, you have the Stamp Act, which is the first. The reason it's significant is the first direct tax on the colonists. So I'm going to save it. So yeah, it should be all set. Anyway, it's the first direct tax on the colonists, which means that nearly all the colonists have to pay that for the first time. So that's why it's a big specific thing that happens. The first part of the semester. Mustafa, what are you talking about? I'm going over the French Indian War right now. So French Indian War, Stamp Act, 1765, first direct tax on the colonists. In response, the colonists start the Stamp Act Congress, and the Stamp Act Congress meets together, and their big thing is that they want to boycott British goods and not buy the British goods, and also try to resort to smuggling things. So they're going to try to kind of start an organized rebellion. And at the same time, they also do a lot of intimidation towards people that don't participate in the boycott. So a lot of the loyalists, so this is where you get a lot of the patriot versus loyalist violence. So it all kind of goes back to the Stamp Act. After that, you have the Stamp Act get repealed. Britain's like, hey, we're not doing this because you're making us. We're doing this because we want to. We can still tax you, but we're not going to right now. And then a couple years later, they passed the Townshend Acts, which is another set of taxes. Eventually, the Tea Act and the Boston Massacre occur. And then you have the Boston Tea Party, which leads to the Intolerable Acts. Those are like the big, major acts of colonial rebellion that you need to know. But it all starts with the French Indian War, leading to the debt, leading to the Stamp Act, leading to smuggling, boycotts, more rebellion, which leads to more troops being stationed by the British, so on and so forth. If we need more specifics about that, we can do that. What tends to happen is we tend to get some repeat questions. So you might see me circling back a few times. So it's likely that that's going to happen. Let's see. Somebody said something about some help on the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution. So I would be interested. That's somebody I don't recognize. Are you in a different class? Somebody named Brooklyn? Brooklyn Wall. yeah, if you give me something specific, I can help you out. All the acts, honestly though, like the big acts are the Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts. The Boston Massacre is not really an act; it's more like something that happened. Quartering Act, the Tea Act, and the Intolerable Acts. Those are the big ones. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, if you give me something specific that you want to know about the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution, I can definitely embellish upon that. Riley says, should we study when these major events happen? You should know the general chronology. I'm not going to ask you years of things. I do know that there's one specific question that asks about what order things happen, but it's going to be pretty obvious. So knowing that like the French Indian War is the first big event of the unit, and then moving into the rebellion portion, and then you have the Battle of Lexington and Concord in 1775. Shortly thereafter, you have the Declaration of Independence, and then you have the war. After the war, you have the Articles of Confederation period, and then you have the Constitution, and that's where we end. Also, Riley, the unit study guide or organizer has all those events in order. Like I put the timeline on there for you already just to start out. Yeah, that'll help you, I think, a little bit just to know the general chronology, but just topically more so. Let's see. Welcome, Laura. Saw you came here. Did the acts. Gonna have primary source. Yeah, Mustafa, there's gonna be primary sources that you have to analyze. There'll be some kind of like what we did in class today. So there'll be like a source and some multiple choice questions. There might also be like a visual of some sort that'll ask you some questions about like cause and effect, but literally nothing that's on there is stuff that we have not done in class. It's all stuff that we've done. It's not like necessarily that you've seen that exact thing before, but there's gonna be, it's all stuff that we did in class, like skill wise. Okay, so that answers that. Cheese, who is Cheese? Who are you? How much should we know about the Bill of Rights? Not much. Just that they were a compromise that the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists felt like they needed in order to pass the Constitution. So the Anti-Federalists felt like the Constitution gave way too much power to the federal government, and so they were a little weary. They felt like the people needed a Bill of Rights to explain what their rights actually were, and then the Federalists felt like it was good without one. And so they had that disagreement, and that leads to the Bill of Rights. You don't need to know what the specific, at least on my test, you don't need to know what the specific Bill of Rights are, what the rights are, but there will be opportunity for you at home to learn a little bit more about that tomorrow. But again, I'm not going to ask you about specific rights from the Bill of Rights. Okay. Are we going over part 4 of the study guide tomorrow? So you're in team 2. We go through the Constitution a little bit, and we didn't fill in the study guide in class. We'll probably just do that before the exam, but I would encourage you to look at it just to make sure that you feel like you know everything that's on there. But we'll like answer some questions and make sure we're all on the same page as far as that goes. So that's that. Brooklyn from Ms. Holland's class, what did you want to know about the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution? I can kind of go through some of that. I think it would help my students too. Loris, today actually it's like Bill of Rights Day. It's almost like there's some higher power that wants me to teach things. Page 460, what are you talking? Taylor, stop it. Anyway, I started my long soliloquy way back when, before we got the first question. So French Indian War, Colonial Rebellion, the war itself, not a whole lot from the war itself. You need to know some advantages and disadvantages of the two sides. We did that really quickly in class. There's 3.2 note sheet is about that. So yeah, that helps. And then there's only like 5 big battles or events that occurred during the war that you really need to know. So like Battle of Saratoga brings in the French. The Battle of Yorktown kind of ends the war. The Treaty of Paris declares independence or allows independence for the United States, and then grants the borders. So Let's see, kind of an overview of what caused it and why it didn't work. Well, the Articles of Confederation, we actually talked about this today in class and will tomorrow in my Team 2 class, but a couple different things. One, there's no power to tax the Articles of Confederation. So anytime the federal government needed money, they were unable to raise it unless the colonies like volunteered to give them money. So that was a big problem, especially because after the war, there was a lot of debt. So a lot of the states and the national government had debt from France and Holland. They couldn't pay it off. So they had to like ask for money, basically. But the states didn't have to give them money. And then there was arguments about should bigger states give more money than smaller states, or states that really benefited, like Massachusetts from the revolution, should they give more money? So that was a problem. No power to tax. Didn't have a military, so there was no power for Congress in the Articles of Confederation to raise a military. So anytime they needed it, they had to try to get states to donate basically militiamen to try to help fight. And those are the two big ones. So no military, no power to tax. The other thing was every state only had one vote in Congress, so that kind of disadvantaged large states because they had just as much say as smaller states. There was no executive branch, which means that none of the laws were really enforceable at the national level. It was pretty much Congress just passed laws and then hopefully they were followed. Hopefully the states enforced them. States had too much power on their own. They could declare war against one another. They could have their own currencies. So a lot of problems. So there's a bunch of different examples. If you're interested, I do have a video on my YouTube channel that talks about that and the Constitutional Convention. You can watch that if you'd like to. Can help you out maybe. OPCVL is just how we look at sources. So O is origin. Origin is where you're going to look at who's the author, what might their bias be or their perspective. You can also look at with O or origin, we usually look at the context. So what was going on around the time that this was made and how does that influence what we think? Sorry, I felt like reading the comments and trying to talk at the same time. I apologize. Purpose is why was this thing made? So I usually tell my students specifically, it's either going to be to inform or persuade. Those are usually the two purposes. Sometimes there's an entertain aspect. Generally doesn't happen in historical documents. It's either to strictly inform of something happening or to persuade. Most are to persuade, and if you know that the purpose is to persuade, you can kind of look at how are they trying to persuade you. What evidence are they bringing in to try to make you believe something? How are they wording things? What content are they using? Those kinds of things. C is just content. So what are the ideas of the document? What information do they choose to bring in? Do they use good evidence? Is it organized well? So just the ideas of like what is the specific content, and then value and limitation is what can we learn from this source? What can we not learn from the source? Haven't done a lot with value and limitation yet. Really trying to work on origin, purpose, and content, building those skills. We'll get into value and limitations a little bit later, but that's what OPCVL is. There's not going to be any, at least on my test. I'm not gonna make you like write out what the questions are or like what OPCVL stands for, but you will have to. I'm gonna ask you questions about like origins of things like that. So, I think somebody might not have. I might have to share the link with somebody quick. Hang on. Don't look at me do this. This is gonna be. Oh, never mind. He just got it. Hang on. I gotta respond. Okay, back to you. What percentage is multiple choice? I don't know what percentage if it is multiple choice. There's a short answer for every section, if that helps. So yeah, I don't really have a percent. I mean, a lot of it's multiple choice, but again, it's kind of mixed between regular multiple choice based on sources, and then short answers. So more than 50? No, I don't think so. I wouldn't think so. Mustafa, I think a better way to think about that is what percent of the points are from multiple choice. So I would say probably around 50% of the points are from multiple choice, not necessarily the number of questions. So it's a 40 point test. I would say probably 20 of those points are from some kind of multiple choice. 20 are probably from short answer or something like that. somewhere around there. I don't know if that really helps you a whole lot, though, knowing that. It's also organized by sections. So there's four standards that we address in this unit, history standards. So there's 4 different sections to it, and they go in order. So basically, it goes topic by topic pretty much. It's going to be a Microsoft form, but I'm also going to print off the documents. So when you use the primary sources, I'll have the hard copy of them that you can look at and write on too. Cool. We got 7 likes, my friends. How exciting. Yeah, you can watch the guitar videos as well. I'm going to scroll through quick, make sure I didn't miss any questions. No, looks like I didn't. How was your day? It was pretty good. You know, obviously, I didn't have Taylor in class, so it can't be that great, but we did okay for the most part. Kaylee had some fun facts, so. Also, I had to give the team the who won the Loyalists. So my Loyalists versus Patriots challenge. Only one group actually wanted candy, so I had to give that to them today. But that was let's see. Only in one class did the Patriots win. Everybody else was Loyalists. Yeah, got some Toblerone. Did you eat that thing yet, Laura? I feel like you're just gonna like stare at it and pay homage. All right, people. What other questions we got? If you made an album with your jams, what would the album name be called? Ooh, I don't know. It really depends on what all the jams sound like. I feel like the jams would be made into different songs. Like they're all just parts of songs that have to get put together. So I don't know. I don't know what I would call it. Depends on the mood. Maybe call it Manifest Destiny or Pontiac's Rebellion. Okay. What is a really important thing that we should make sure we know? Like if all else fails, know this. If all else fails, I would say you should know your top 3 causes of the Colonial Rebellion. You should know the ideas of the Declaration of Independence, 3 causes of Colonial Rebellion, Declaration of Independence. You should also know, I mean, we spent a lot of time on that. Was the revolution revolutionary or not revolutionary? So thinking about things that changed as a result of the revolution versus things that did not change as a result of the revolution. And I broke it down into political and social. So political is more dealing with the government, who has political power, voting power. Social is more about the different groups in society and what their roles are, how it affected women, enslaved Africans, things like that. So 3 colonial reasons for rebellion, Declaration of Independence, and some of those like change in continuity as a result of the revolution. Will the questions on the test be like the ones we did in the warm-up? Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. The questions will be like the ones from the warm-ups. At least those types of multiple choice will be similar to that. Can't promise you that the sources will be easier or harder, but I'll give you copies of them. I'll answer questions if you have like vocab issues with the sources, like they use Old English and you don't understand. Work on that. Manifest Destiny sounds like legit. Oh yeah, for sure. That's next unit, my friends. Manifest Destiny. I'll teach you the right way to say it too. Ella Hessing knows the right way to say it. If you know her, she won't do it, but she knows the right way. My sister was next to me and she said, "You look like Adam." Thank you. Most people tell Adam Sandler that he looks like me, actually. Oh, that was Nor? Oh, gosh. Okay. Okay, what are you asking if I saw? Oh, yeah, I saw that now. Okay. Yeah, Manifest Destiny wasn't the greatest concept. I mean, it definitely was an influential concept that drove a lot. But yeah. Just so it sounds derpy. What? What does that even mean? Okay. Should I focus more on the French and Indian or the Revolutionary War? You're going to hate this answer, but I would say both. French and Indian War, you don't need to know a lot of the events. You need to know why it happened. More important are the effects. So why do we care about this one? It kicks off a lot of what ends up happening with the American Revolution. So you need to know that. You need to know why. With the Revolution, it's more about the advantages of the colonists versus the advantages of the British, and then how those led to colonial victory, and then what they got out of the war, and then again, like I said to Abby's question, how things changed or stayed the same as a result of the Revolution. So I would say if you're going to spend more, I would say more of your time probably on the American Revolution. But again, we didn't study like all the battles and things like that, so don't freak yourself out. Wow, thanks, man. Okay, thanks, Mustafa. I appreciate that. Manifest Destiny is a band already? Shoot. Okay. No, there's some people that I have no idea who these people are, but it's okay. All right. Well, that's a good start, I think. That study guide from forever ago will apply to the test. What do you mean from forever ago? We just like went through some of it like 2 classes ago. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's it. That's like, those are the objectives. Like those, every topic has 2 objectives. If you know those, that's what the exam is going to be on. Those terms, I'm not going to ask you any questions about any vocab terms that are not on that sheet. Like they are all there. That's what I taught you. Not that it won't help knowing other things, but yeah, that'll be it. Get 2 classes forever, whatever. Congrats on the fan fiction. Okay, nice. Yeah, study guide. We went through topic 1 and topic 2 together. We didn't do topic 3, but it's pretty short. I feel like it's pretty straightforward. We'll finish up topic 4 before the exams. We didn't have time to do it today, but again, it's something that I feel like that stuff is pretty straightforward. I think you should be able to do it. It's a lot of, looking at the compromises of the Constitution and some of, and it's more like term heavy, I feel like. Yeah, Mustafa, I know you were gone for a while. So, I mean, if you don't feel comfortable taking it, I understand, but we can figure it out though. 2 classes forever. I guess, yeah. Well, it was like 2 in person. Yeah, I guess. It is kind of weird. It does feel like things happened a long time ago. Fire's still going, so you know. All right. What else you got? How much will it affect your grade if we completely bomb it? A lot. You're not going to completely bomb it though. You're going to be fine. It'll be good. You'll be fine. So the way that I do it is, since there's 4 sections, that means there's 4 standards. There's 4 big things. It's going to go on as 4 different scores. So you'll know how you did on the first section, the second section, the third section, and the fourth section. So then what that helps is for both of us, if you don't do well, we can look at, did you not do well on all the sections? Did you really do well on section 1, but in section 2, but not 3 and 4? So how does it all fit together? And then hopefully then, if you want to do a reassessment, there'll be a process for that. I don't want people to bank on doing the retake though. Like, I feel like you should do it well the first time. But then you only have to like redo the part that you feel like you didn't get, instead of having to do everything. So it's a little confusing when it goes in the grade book, but it'll make sense. I mean, it's the same effect on your grade as having it all. Just I think it tells you more about how you did. How much could we miss and still get an A? 40 points times 0.9, that's 36. So 4 questions, 4 points, right? 40 times 0.9 is 36. Yeah, 4 points. But again, that's like 4 whole questions. I don't know. There's not that many questions. I think that's right. Unless I did my math wrong. Yeah. To get an 80, you can miss 8. Yeah. Is that how you die? I don't think so. Actually, the Declaration of Independence was on the 2nd of July. Good. It's going to be fine. You'll be fine. I taught you everything that's on it. If you study the fact that you're here doing this, you're going to be okay. Well, yeah, you're freshman at Renaissance. Of course, you feel like you don't think you're going to do well. You'll be okay. If you did the stuff in class, you tried, you kept up on things, you did the at-home assignments, you asked questions, you participated, you look over some things, it'll be okay. Also, a lot of stuff I have is in videos, so you can go look at that too. My goodness. Okay, well, if we're just going to devolve into grave talk, then I probably should wrap it up. Does anybody have any other like big questions or comments or anything? Grave rave. Awesome. See if there's anything I feel like I missed. I know one thing. I put it on the exam though, but like if I ask for a cause of something or an effect of something, try to think like broader, like bigger, like why does it matter in the grand scheme of things? Instead of being like, if I was like, what was a consequence of the Battle of Lexington? And you're like, people died. Like that's true, but like there's a lot of battles where people died. Like why is the Battle of Lexington significant? So the fact that it like led to the Second Continental Congress and leading into the Declaration of Independence, that's like more of a significant consequence. So things like that, I think sometimes, especially when it's your first exam, like it's always good. Like five word answers are not going to cut it. So you got to make sure you give specific examples of things. What do I think of? I've never actually, to be honest, I've never seen Hamilton. I'm sorry. I've heard songs from it. I know the book. Okay, let me see what else we got here. Discords, nice. Fortnite. I'm going to try to do it so we can. Can you hang on a sec? Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna save the stream. You can watch it again, or at least if it doesn't end up happening, it's not because I didn't try to. So I'm gonna try to save it, and it'll be on. I'll make it public so you can watch it. But let me see. Significance of the Declaration of Independence. Yeah, so there's a couple things. First, obviously, it's significant because it declares independence from Britain. Like this is the point of no return, right? It's why we celebrate as a holiday. The other thing, though, is it gives a good indication of the type of government that the U.S. Or the colonists want to develop. So they talk about things like consent of the governed, like the government being instituted by the people. So things like popular sovereignty, unalienable rights. So having limited government, the idea that like the government serves the people, and then moving on more into like the ideas of like what the grievances are. So looking at the specific problems that they saw with the British government that they'll try to fix with things like the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. So the Declaration of Independence is kind of this like precursor to the Constitution where they try to put these values into their governing document as best they can. A lot of people criticize it. They say that like it didn't apply to all social groups, which is definitely true. But for the time, it was a fairly radical kind of document. So that's kind of the significance there. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Constitution, obviously significant, still the governing document we have today. Bill of Rights was the last big compromise. No, Lexington and Concord didn't really start the war. So the war, I mean, the American Revolutionary War doesn't officially start until the Declaration of Independence is signed on July 4th, 1776. Battle of Lexington happens in April of 1775. So there are a couple of examples of fighting before the Declaration of Independence, but the war itself doesn't officially start until after the Declaration of Independence. Riley, should we do a claim, evidence, reasoning for the written answers? that would be helpful. I don't know if necessarily all of them require that much detail, but what I would say is if you're going to say something, if you're going to make an argument, then you should have a historical event that backs it up. So if you're going to say that the main cause of colonial rebellion was the Boston Massacre, then you should be able to explain what happened during the Boston Massacre and why it was important and how it led to more rebellion. So things like that. But that format definitely helps. Yeah, so I think I answered those 2 questions. Wow. All right, I'll give you a couple more minutes, see if you got any last dying burning things, and then I'll shut it off and I'll make sure that I save it for you. My favorite political ideology? Anarcho-syndicalism? Maybe. I like the idea of everybody just getting together and like having their own little community and then, helping each other. Be super fun. Provided everybody showered. That would be a big thing. Same. Yeah. Okay. Okay, who is the cheese person? Main cause of the war. Look at the Colonial Rebellion. French Indian War, leading to new taxes, leading to Colonial Rebellion, leads to government crackdown, leads to, once again, more colonial protest, leads to new ideas of government, fighting, actual fighting, Lexington and Concord, Declaration of Independence. There's the war right there. Okay, cheese, are you in my class? You bet. Okay. All right, sweet people. If anything comes up, let me know. Hopefully you found this helpful. Yeah. If you are, don't go to Renaissance then. I'm not quite sure why you're spending your time doing this. But hey, whatever you got. I think people would know. Okay, cool people. Yeah, so that's all I got. Obviously, team 2, we're going to be doing the stuff we did today in class with you. So some of that stuff, if you're like Constitution, I don't know what you're talking about. Like that's part of it's why. And then it's pretty much it. So, I would say with your guild, like a good thing to do for your last at home day is to talk to each other, quiz each other, see what you got, see what questions you still have. You can always tag me in a post. And if I can, I'll get back to you and talk to you about some things. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Cool people. Well, stay safe out there and let me know if anything comes up. We'll talk later. I can't do an epic guitar jam, unfortunately, because my wife is working from home right now and she's in a meeting in her office room. And so that would be very, very bad if I were to do that. So someday, maybe for the next one. All right. Sounds good. Later, people.